You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to an episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, host, back with another episode. Excited to share this episode with you today, but before we do, huge shout out to our sponsors. The Oklahoma Hall of Fame have been sharing Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com. And for daily updates, go to oklahomahof on Instagram and give them a follow. Our other sponsor today is the Chickasaw Nation. Now, the Chickasaw Nation have sponsored pretty much everything in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma. And it's an honor to have their name and their brand supporting this podcast. So a huge shout out to Governor Anatoby for supporting this podcast. It really means a lot. This episode is brought to you by the Doghouse OKC. Recently, I have been in need of some doggy daycare for my two pups, and the Doghouse have come in clutch. The team over there are incredible. They've taken care of my two golden doodles, and so it's been an honor to partner with them on the podcast and share the love. Adding to that is the Doghouse, and so if you're in need of doggy daycare in the day or boarding overnight, they do grooming and other cool things too, but I've had a fantastic experience, and it's an honor and a privilege to share this with you too. So go to thedogHouseOKC.com and follow them on Instagram at thedogHouseOKC, and hopefully our pups will run into each other. What's up, guys? Welcome back to an episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike and here, host, back with another episode down at Bedford's Camera, and today we're going to make you really hungry. We're going to talk about food for about an hour. So if you haven't already been to my guest restaurants after this hour, you're definitely going to want to. Please welcome to the podcast, Mr. Kevin Lee, Chef Mr. Kevin Lee.
Thank you for having me, buddy.
And fellow golfer.
Yes, sir.
Pumped. It's awesome. It's not really golf weather right now, but yeah, we both have the bug of golf, disease, passion, whatever you want to call it, right? But Birdies, MAHT are the two main ones we have right now. Excited to dive into the story. And one of the guys here at Martin at Bedford was like, hey, do you know how you get a reservation at MAHT that's not in April? I was like, well, you show up at the bar. Probably is the easiest way to do it. But after huge success, obviously Birdies went through a little bit of a rebrand, and you did that, which I'm excited to hear about that story too. But what we do with the podcast, we go way back and tell the origin story, talk about how you kind of got into it. So let's go way back, man. Where were you born and raised?
Born in Norman, Oklahoma, and I was raised all over the world. I mean, I was one of those families who moved around a lot. I was born in Norman while my dad was going to University of Oklahoma to get his PhD. But soon after I was born, we moved back to Oklahoma when I was like 3 or 4 years old. I lived in Korea briefly. Then, when I was in first grade, we actually moved to Hartford, Connecticut. Lived there for a couple of years.
It's cold.
It was real cold. Like, it was cold. I mean, it's about, you don't get inches of snow there. You get feet of snow there, So it's just like, living there for a couple of years, and I moved back. So I lived in Korea for a big portion of my childhood. Now, I lived in Korea till like 6th grade. One day my mom said, we're moving back to Oklahoma. So me, my mom, my sister, we moved back to Oklahoma City, lived here for a couple of years, went to Hefner Middle School, loved living in Oklahoma. Then my mom goes on to all of a sudden say, we're moving to Seattle, Washington. So it was Tacoma, Washington is where we live. Tacoma, Washington is just like 30 minutes south of Seattle. It's one of the suburbs over there, and ended up going to high school over there in Tacoma, Washington. And that's kind of where I call home, because like I went to, that's where all my childhood friends are, because like my at the tail end of my middle school and my high school friends are all back in Tacoma, Washington. So, it's kind of called home. But, then after that, I moved to Vegas there, cooked there, went to school there, then moved back to Oklahoma in 2010.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Even all over the world. That's great, though. Like, you get so much life experience from traveling. And at the time when you're a kid, there's probably times where you're like, I just want to stay here. Why don't leave? I mean, you're rebuilding friendships all the time. But at the same time, like, you looking back, you have all this worldly experience.
Yes.
And then the job that you're in, like, you tasted all these things.
Yes.
Mom and dad, or mom big into cooking?
I think both of my parents were very good cooks growing up. My dad actually owned a little steakhouse in Korea briefly. When the economy crashed in Korea, like in the late 90s, he was like, oh, let's try to, he loved steak and potatoes. It was like every special occasion growing up, like if there's a birthday, celebration, or just a weekend dinner, it was all about steak and potatoes in my household. And it was just a salad with Italian dressing or Thousand Island dressing. We had baked potatoes with like sour cream, butter, and American cheese, and steak with like A1 sauce. That was and rice and kimchi, of course. But I mean, that was like our go-to meal, any special occasion, and that's what we loved. And my dad loved everything about it, like cooking it in live charcoal and getting that real smoke, and like it was a whole process. But I mean, that's what we love to eat.
Yeah.
And he owned the American steakhouse in Korea, and now I own a Korean steakhouse in America. So, I mean, it comes to a full circle of like how I grew up eating, but like, it was just always a thing. Like steak and potatoes was like our go-to meal. And it's still to my house, like now as me being the man of the household, every special occasion we eat steak and potatoes.
So is that the American sort of Oklahoma influence on Dad?
I think so. I think like he always loved a great steak, and who doesn't love a great steak?
Well, no one, now that you've traveled, you get it. No one does a steak like the States.
No, and
right?
like people love a great steak, and that's what I've noticed, and that's what people are willing to pay for. Like people, if you put a $60 entree that's not a steak on the menu, nobody's gonna ever order that. But you can put a $200 steak on the menu, people will still order it and appreciate it, and they enjoy it. So after years of being a fine dining chef and briefly owning a fried chicken restaurant, I finally feel like I found my lane. Just go back to my roots and steak and potatoes.
Yeah, it does well here.
Yeah, it does well
right?
here.
Yeah, everyone, you're right. It's I don't know what I mean. It's just I guess the culture here has done a great, and marketing and all the things have done a great job of like steak is a special thing. Because even back home for me, growing up in the UK, like we'd at least have a steak night usually on a Saturday, Friday or Saturday was kind of steak night, and it was for us, like compared to out here, like my parents loved coming here and grabbing steak because it's so different and the steaks are much bigger here. But even back home, it was like, you'd eat your normal meals, your rotation, mom would cook, and then on the weekend, like, I'll have a steak.
Yeah, absolutely. It's everybody's celebration meal.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So kind of travel around a lot, like, back to Korea, back to the States, Seattle as well, Washington, like you're kind of all over. And then when you're in high school, is that, are you thinking I'm going to get a job? Or was it very early on that you're like, cooking is my lane?
No, I mean, in 2005 is when I graduated high school.
Okay.
In 2005, nobody was saying, I want to be a chef. Like, that was not a thing. Like, you saw some chefs on TV, but like, being a chef wasn't cool in 2005. Like, it was probably cool for some people who were in the industry and who were aspiring chefs. They probably thought it was cool, but nobody in high school, no man in high school said, I want to be a chef. Even if you like cooking, you couldn't take home ec classes because you didn't want to see your friends taking a cooking class. It was just not something you said out loud, right? But I always loved food. I loved hospitality, and like I wasn't great at school. Like there weren't a lot of schools who accepted me to, come to our school. Like I applied a couple places, and like UNLV was one of those places. They're like, hey, you paying tuition to come on in. So that's literally how I ended up going to UNLV because like, I really didn't have. I wasn't great in school, mainly because like I moved around a lot. Like I was in Korea and I was in America. Like I didn't know like I can speak fluently in English and Korean, but I can't read or write in either of the languages. Like I'm terrible at it. But I wasn't always great in school. So like being a Korean American kid, like not going to college was not an option. Like you go to college no matter what. I don't care where you're going.
Yeah.
You're going to college. And that was my mom's mentality. So, it was either going to like Eastern Washington University and like studying something I have zero interest in, or going to UNLV, go live in Vegas and like, go study at the most premier hospitality management in the world. So I was like, yeah, at least like I'm going to a respectable program where they have something that maybe I'm interested in. So I attended UNLV for maybe a semester. And like the cooking class that we had to take it was a required class being a hospitality major. So that's when I was like, man, this is kind of fun. But it still didn't really click in my head. Like, I want to be a chef. I was, oh, this is fun. Sure. That was it. And, and as I was living in Vegas, cost of living was getting more expensive. Like, I was like, I need a job now. So I just walked into a restaurant trying to be a server, busser, dishwasher, whatever that may be. And the chef owner there looked at me and was like, you look like a chef. It's like, you want to, and like, I want to make you a prep cook. I'm like, he probably just needed a prep cook. But
He
at the
sold you big time.
yeah,
Right?
you're just like, he sold me. Like, well, you gonna
Yeah.
pay me? He's like, yes. I was like, great. I'll start tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's how I started. But during the process of just working there just to make money as a college kid, I was like, man, this is really fun. Like being one of the guys like in the kitchen, like, the camaraderie that I had, like I thought they were the coolest guys in the world. They looked like rock stars to me. And like I saw the charisma in chefs I'd never thought there was, and I saw the charisma of being a chef. I was like, man, I want to be like those guys. They look cool. Like they're getting all the ladies, or, they have this like, you know, thing about them when they're cooking, the level of concentration they have, and the look, like everything about like how they worked and like talk to people. I just thought it was so cool. So like from that moment on, I was just like, I'd be a chef, and I just didn't stop. Like, I'm 39 years old now. I started when I was 18. And people always ask me, like, how did you get to this point in your career? I was like, well, I've been doing it for 21 years. Like, how many 39-year-olds can say, I've been doing what I do for 21 years? And I started it, and I just didn't look. There's no really other option for me. Like, I wasn't good in school, so I was going back to school. And like, and back then, there's like, you had to go to school to have a decent job, after school. So like, this was my only option in my mind. I'm sure there was a lot of other options,
Right.
but in my mind, there was nothing else. I tried to like, I had moments when I first moved to Oklahoma, like, after being a chef in Vegas, I was like, well, I was an executive chef by the time I left Vegas, but like financially, it still wasn't great. You know what I mean? Like being a chef is not a high paying job. So like, my family, like my mom, my uncle, my cousin are like, hey, why don't you just go back to school and try to, figure out a different way. And, there's easier ways to live life. That's basically what they're telling me. And I tried going back to school while I was working and all that, but it just wasn't for me. So I just, all right, screw it. I'm not going back to school, guys. And just cooking again, and I just went deeper than I ever did. For me, like, I just love to cook, and like I love to eat, and I love being hospitable, right? Like being in at my restaurant and seeing people enjoy my food and having a great time, having an experience, and them telling me they can't wait to tell other people about it. Like I feel like that experience, that being in a restaurant, not just cooking food, but like being hospitable and like catering to your guests and seeing them have a great time, I think is one of the greatest things in the world.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's I know your cousin Andrew, and I'm
Yes.
just thinking like he was probably one of those people like, go to school, come to
Yeah.
join me in commercial real estate, like,
We're very
sounds like hell.
yeah,
Right?
Well, like, I know like my family at the time was just like, it's like, why don't you try something else? Just like, it's not a easy path, right? But like, to me, like, I just love what I did.
Yeah.
Whether it was, if I had to make less money doing it, that was what it is. But like, to me, there was just no other option.
Yeah. And it's rare to find something that you want to do for the rest of your life and that you love so
Yeah.
early on.
Yeah.
Right? Like you walk into that restaurant and you get a job, and then you see the guys and you see the chefs, and you're like, and you're in the best city in the
Yeah.
world for hospitality. Like,
Mhm.
that's looking back, it's like, wow, that's a big moment
Yes.
for you, right? At the time, you're like, I just need a job.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to pay my bills and
For sure.
buy some beers and have a good time. Like
Yes.
I need a job. Who was that guy that hired you?
His name's Jun Choi. So he's a Korean guy. So he was one of those guys who was just very talented. He just, some people just have it in the kitchen. Like they're just born. It's like being an athlete, right? Like some people are just naturally good at the kitchen after this, and he was very good at what he did. He was, I just really looked up to him, and he was just one of those guys who just took me under his wing. And by the time I worked for him for 3 years, I became an executive chef at a restaurant in Mandalay Bay at age 21. Like, I didn't get hired as executive chef, but I got hired as a sous chef and eventually became an executive chef when I was 21. And like, I just soaked it all in, everything I could learn from him. And he was a big golfer. So it was like, I teach you how to play golf and you teach me how to make sushi. It's just one of those things I picked up very quickly, and I just loved it. Like I would go home and cut vegetables just to like get better, and I would go home and practice and get better. Like, and I just like something about it that is like, so it was like I could relate to like sports very easily. Like grew up playing competitive sports, and it was just like, all right, you just got to practice and you'll get better. And it just all it was. And I just really dove in deeply and enjoyed every moment being in the kitchen, working like every day. Like, I grew up like working in golf courses when I was a kid, and like 8 hours goes by like it was
Right.
it feels like a month. Like you're just sitting there waiting for someone to
Takes
walk
so
in the
long.
pro shop and like answering phone calls and selling driving range tokens. Like it's hell. I mean, it's absolute hell. And like the day just seems like it just lasts forever. But when you're in the kitchen working and like everything's going well, man, that 8 to 12 hour shifts like goes by like in the blink of an eye. And
Yeah.
like, man, it's such a fulfilling feeling, working in the
Yeah.
kitchen.
So golf was something you took to early on, like out of the other sports you played?
Golf was one of those sports I was very competitive in. Took it very seriously. At one point in my life, being a professional golfer was like my dream, like as a 12, 13-year-old kid. As I got older, I was like, oh, that's impossible. Like the realization of like being a PGA Tour player, like dwindled very quickly. But golf is just one of those sports I enjoyed playing as a kid, something I did growing up with my dad. And, I got really good at it at one point in my life. And like as I got older, and just not so much anymore. But like you learn a lot about life in golf. Like it relates very well, right? It's not always easy. It's gonna be a lot of rough roads, and you gotta be comfortable being uncomfortable. Like there's so many things like you learn through golf, and I think like when I got the second chance of cooking being my career, and now that I actually get to like compete as a chef, like not something every chef gets to do, but like I compete at a very high level. Like it almost feels like I'm a professional athlete when I go do these things, and I had the same mentality, and like I take everything I learned from not being good at, like I took everything I learned, what I did through golf, like everything I wish I could have done differently. Like man, I wish I would have just been mentally stronger as a kid. I wish I would have just like been like so negative all the time. Like now I just take all those things and I relate to like when I go into cooking competitions. I feel like it helps me stay calm and do what I do.
Yeah. When did you first start going into cooking competitions?
Guys Grocery Games was my first one.
Okay.
Locally, actually, like annually, Oklahoma Restaurant Association puts up a little culinary cook-off at the convention center. It's kind of like Chopped. You get these mystery ingredients that you don't know what they are. You got 30 minutes to figure out how to do it. I won that competition first time I ever done it, and that was my first ever competition. That was exactly 10 years ago, because I was doing like Facebook posts out there where people were posting about 10 years ago. And like, that was my first competition. Then I did a competition called like Treat a Table. That was another one that was here locally. Like they'll bring in like Rick Bayless and like Alex Cornishelli to be the judge. And it was like a really kind of like local big competition. But I did that competition as my second one. And I ended up winning the best sweet, best savory, and best grape. Like I won all the categories. It was like amazing. And that when you do those things, like people write articles about it, and like then like the Food Network like tries to like gather up some local chefs to do some shows. And that's how I first got started. But like I loved competing, like being a kid who dreamed of being a professional athlete, whether that was basketball, football, soccer, golf. Like now it just feels like when I go do these things, like there's a crowd, there's an audience, even though they're like paid audiences, but they're cheering your name, and like you feel like a UFC fighter going out to fight. It's just like a awesome feeling, and it just like gives me a lot of adrenaline. It gets me going. Like it makes me want to be a better chef. And every time I do those things, like competing against those chefs, you learn so much. It's just been a really fun experience.
Yeah. Back to Vegas, you mentioned working at Mandalay Bay for 3 years, getting to the position you're at then. Did you drop out of school? You're like, I'm going to be a chef? Or like when you're at UNLV, you're like, this is it? Like
I was enrolled for 6 months. First one semester, I was like, this is it. When you get all Fs, I mean, you're like, what are you gonna do? Like literally, like I was like, there's no point of staying. This is just a waste of time and money. And my mom's a very strict like Korean American mom. So like I didn't tell her. I was just like, oh, I'm still going to school. At the time, I was getting financial aid. So I was like, she didn't have to like send me tuition. So I just said, oh, I'm in school. I'm enrolled. But like, I think deep inside, she knew I wasn't going to school. She just was like, that's why she never came to visit me. She was like, I don't want to face the reality of what he's living like. I'm just going to, hopefully, like he figures it out. To my mom, it was a big deal. Like if she knew I dropped out of school at the time, she probably would have had a heart attack. Because like for Korean culture, it's like they think school is everything. And like my sister's in Harvard, and like, here's me. Like, so it's like, I didn't want to like, make it like her worry. So I just didn't tell her until like when I moved to Oklahoma. I was like, by the way, I haven't been going to school. And like, this ain't for me, but Vegas ain't for me either. So I'm going to go live with your brother in Oklahoma and I'll figure my life out. So it was just one of those things like, I didn't want to make my my worry at the time, but like I knew early on, like school is not the path.
Yeah, like I mean, when you're in the kitchen, right, and food's flying, everyone's having a good time, or it's high pressure, like all the situations you can put yourself in as an 18, 19, 20-year-old. And again, you're in Vegas,
Yeah.
you're at where you need to be, till you're drinking from the firehouse, right? Like you're learning, and it sounds like you got a great team around you to learn from. I'm sure there's some horror stories, but
Yeah,
that's with
for
everybody,
sure.
right? And then also you go to Mandalay Bay and have some success there, and like have some progress too, right? You're not just like scrubbing pans and handing
Yeah.
people food. Like you're in the mix and you're running.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you got probably, was that the first time you'd kind of had some leadership?
Absolutely. And when you're 21, you're trying to lead 40, 50-year-olds. It's very hard. And I learned a lot, like what not to do, but like you still got to be stern as a leader. But I feel like playing sports, I will always have that natural leadership. Like I love leading. I'm a great follower too. If I have to follow a leader, I feel like you learn that through sports a lot.
Yeah.
Growing up, but leading a team at age 21 and leading a team that are all Asians. Some are Japanese, some are Chinese, some are Korean, but like in Asian culture, like seniority is everything in age. Like if you're older, you got to respect them. So like it was a very hard thing that I had to do, but through that, doing that for a year and a half or 2 years, however long I did it for, like I ran that restaurant better than anybody that ever ran that restaurant in the history of that restaurant. I was 21 years old and I had the best food costs that they've ever had, that the best labor costs that they've ever had, that had more sales than they've ever had. So through that time, I learned a lot, but I quickly realized I wasn't learning anything about like cooking. I wanted to like learn more about, I want to be more than a sushi chef. I wanted to learn French and do all that, but I didn't know how. But at the time I was so lost and like just figuring my life out. I was like, I gotta just get out of the city, move and figure out what else I'm going to do. Cause like the path I was on, even though I was making good money, the lifestyle of being in Vegas just was not, all my
coming to a crossroads at some point, right?
yeah, because all my friends were like, rich like Korean international kids who just had mommy and daddy's credit card and they could just go out and do whatever they want all the time. And I just wasn't that. And I was just like, I'm just gonna, you know, ruin my life along and they can do it, they can afford to do it. I can't. So I was like, I gotta move and just figure out somewhere else how I'm gonna figure out my career somewhere else. So I literally just one day I talked to my cousin Andrew, and it's like, dude, I think I gotta move. He's like, where? He's like, I'm taking Oklahoma. And he was like, yeah, why don't you just come live with me? He's like, at the time we were living literally right here in Northwest 10th and May, right next to Whitaker's grocery store. There's the row of all these old homes. And my cousin and I lived there for like probably like 3, 4 years, maybe 2, 3 years before he got married and I got married. That's where we lived. And it was, we bonded a lot living together. And it was one of those things like it was, I just moved here in a leap of faith that something will happen. Like I have my uncle here, I have my cousin here, and outside of that, like I had nothing. And quickly realized when I moved here, I was like, there's no Japanese restaurants I can go work at that are going to pay me anything. It was not a skill set that you really needed here in Oklahoma because the sushi restaurants here, all they sell are California rolls at the time, So then I was like, oh, what am I going to do now? So it was just one of those things that once I moved here, took a lot of years to figure out like which way, how my career shaped out to be where it is now.
What year was it when you moved back?
It was December of 2009.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's when I moved. And I think it was probably like May of 2010.
Okay.
My cousin Andrew and I bought a little food court burger restaurant in the basement of Robinson Renaissance building.
Okay.
For like, I think it was like $8,000. My cousin's, he's like, So he's like, he found this guy who looked miserable in the food court. He's like, I could probably buy this business from that guy.
Yeah.
It might have been $3,000. It wasn't, it was either $3,000 or $8,000, but we bought it, operated for like 2 years. I mean, there were days I was doing like $100 a day in sales. I mean, it was just miserable. Like being in a basement, like food court selling burgers and French fries. It was initially supposed to be a chicken teriyaki restaurant.
Okay.
But once we signed the lease, like, oh, you can't do Asian food, by the way. What do you mean? This is like, well, there's a Chinese restaurant right there. You can't do Asian food. So figure it out. I'm like, well, burgers and fries.
Yeah, right. What's going to sell here?
We did that for 2 years and it was just, through everything I've done in my life. You
Yeah.
learn, live and learn and move on.
And you're a young 20s at that point?
I'm in my mid-20s. I was
Yeah.
probably 39 now. So, yeah, I was in my probably like 24, 25 when I moved. Yeah. The city was a lot different back then.
Oh, yeah. There's no food
It's
scene.
changed a lot. Like, I think at the time, maybe like Ludivine was just like starting, like Jonathan Stranger and Russ Johnson. That was like the only like chef driven concept. Like we obviously had Kurt Fleischfresser with his coach house.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like we didn't have much of a culinary scene. Like you got with the Charlestons and everything we have now, but it's changed a lot. And I used to go to Bricktown to go hang out. Like who does that anymore? I like my cousin Andrew and I used to go to Bricktown. And they have all these little nightclubs over there. And like, I swear we used to go there every weekend.
Yeah, gosh, that's going back to that, like, late 2000s, kind of early 2010s time. There was a lot going on in this city.
For sure.
So 2 years at Salad Burgers and Fries, you come back from, pretty big fall from grace. Vegas, live high life, and he's like, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
You come back.
It really humbled me a lot. You know,
Yeah.
like going from making like 75,000 a year at the time as a 21-year-old kid to moving to Oklahoma and I can't even find a job that pays like $15 an hour to like now flipping burgers, miserable, like down. But then like I was like, well, then the Devon Tower opened, right? Then they had their own food court. So had we lost with the little business that it had, even lost even more. And then it was fine. So like at the time our lease was up. So I was like, all right, what am I gonna do next? This isn't working for me. I can't do this forever. I'm literally not even making money. Like I'm literally working for free. My uncle is just giving me enough money just to survive, but like this ain't gonna work. And so I just kind of like Kurt Fleischfresser had a apprenticeship program at the coach house. Pays $7 an hour.
Yeah.
Minimum wage. But like at least I'm gonna learn something.
Right.
Like I know how to make Japanese food, but that's worthless here in Oklahoma.
They could teach you pretty much everything
So
else.
now I have to like learn everything else so I can actually become a real chef and try to build my career. So I actually ended up working for Kurt after the apprenticeship program. He moved to Vast to be a director of operations there, and he made me the executive chef there as I graduated. So I ended up working with Kurt for like 7, 8 years. Like, so it was most chefs go through his program. It's a 2-year apprenticeship program. And during the 2 years, you barely even see Kurt half the time. It's just a system you're working in. But lucky me, I got to go through his apprenticeship program, then work side by side with them for another 6, 7 years, running the busiest restaurant in Oklahoma. So I really got to become really good friends with Kurt. He became a great mentor, almost like a father figure of mine. We traveled together everywhere. We played golf together. I mean, we did everything together. So like if during the time, I just really soaked in everything I could learn from Kurt because he was, he's the godfather of chef in Oklahoma.
Oh, he's just,
So I just kind of just soaked everything in while working for him. And during the time I was working for him, I did like guys grocery games and, did a couple shows here and there. But, my TV career didn't really take off until like I went to Tournament of Champions season 5 and got the opportunity to kind of do some, competitions. That's when it really happened. But back then it was just, working for Kurt, going to Vass and, 5 years after working for Kurt, I was like, I can't work for Kurt forever.
right. Yeah.
Like he's a great chef, but like I gotta build my own name. So I went and worked for Brian Bogart, who owns the Jones Assembly, all the Fuzzy's Tacos, the Spark Burger concepts and stuff like that. And kind of became the culinary director for his restaurant group for 2-3 years, maybe 3.5 years. Then after that, I started my own.
That's, like learning from Kurt, and I mean, he's done everything, right?
Yes.
It seems like it. And, other than having an impossible last name, he's pretty, he's got some really cool, really cool ideas. And I've had some of his meals at some private parties, and like, I mean, he's, when he's just kind of let to his own and kind of, you can be fully creative and some of the stuff, I'm like,
For sure.
you're eating it, you're like, what is in this? And he tells you, and you're like, I don't like any of those ingredients. This tastes amazing.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, the Vast experience, it's a pretty, when you're at Vast and high-end Oklahoma restaurant, new to obviously, the city with the tower and everything. And was that kind of the first time you were like, oh, I'm kind of almost back to like how I felt in Vegas?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a great feeling, like being a chef again, running my own kitchen, being in a caliber restaurant like Vast, I mean, when you're up at Vast, you forget you're in Oklahoma City. I mean, it's a beautiful view, and there's such a stunning building in itself as you walk in and go up the elevator, and like the bar, the dining room, it's a stunning restaurant. So it really was a great feeling, and I was super proud to be the chef up there, and I worked my ass off to really make it, what it was. But like it was like for me, I'll always have like I need room to grow. If there's no room to grow somewhere, like I feel stuck and like I feel like I'm not doing anything. So like once, I got to a certain place in Bass, I was like told Kurt, I was like, I kind of want to be the Jones or something, which is like another crazy concept. One of
Yeah,
the busiest restaurants in the city. And that was a whole nother experience of learning, the operations over there and, figured that part out. So it's just like, I feel like I've always worked for the right people, the right restaurants and got a lot of good experiences
Yeah.
out of everywhere I went.
Yeah. So outside of that, then you leave Brian and Graham and go on to do Birdies. Is that what
Yeah,
just
so
after
I
that?
started a Korean fried chicken
Yeah.
concept. After seeing Fuzzy's operation and, after being a chef at the Jones, I really got burnt out. I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to be a chef anymore. Like I had, two little kids. My kids were probably
Yeah.
2 and 1 at the time. I'm like, oh, I didn't get to see my son grow up when he was like 1, 2, 3 at all. Like I was like blink of an eye. I was like, man, I didn't get to see anything. Cause once you're a chef and once you get to a certain level, you work like you own the place anyways. Your career is all about your reputation, right? So if you have to kind of be there to like make sure that standard is always there. So like I almost had to always work a lot, working for a restaurant like the Jones, there's no slow days at a restaurant like this, always busy. So I always felt like I always had to be there and miss a lot of stuff. And, just like, I felt like, oh, let's do this Fuzzy's taco, but like a chicken, like it'll be a fast casual
Yeah.
where people can come, bring their kids, and you don't have to spend a fortune to try my food. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. And quickly realized, like, when you're selling $10 chicken baskets, you got to sell
A
a
lot.
lot
It's a lot
of
of
chicken
chicken.
baskets, and
It was great chicken though.
yeah, but I wasn't like the best operator.
Yeah.
I'm just a chef. I was trying to figure out how to be a restaurateur, and
Gotcha.
it just wasn't working. It was really the hardest 3 years of my life operating as a fried chicken concept. I mean, not 3 years, it was 2 years. Towards the last 6 months, it was a chicken place. We were probably losing 10 grand a month. And I was working 7 days a week, lunch and dinner,
Yeah.
and losing 10 grand a month. Like that's like the worst feeling in the world. Like
This can't continue.
I'm working my ass
And you have
off,
2 young kids.
lose 10 grand,
Yeah.
and I have 2 young kids and a wife.
Yeah.
And the business loan is our mortgage. So
Yeah.
if I lose a business, I'm losing the house. So like for 2 years, every day, I was just like, I wasn't eating. I was just stressing, like trying to figure out what to do. And it was like I was trying to figure out how to get out of this hole, but like there was just I've tried everything. I mean, I will go knock on doors, try to get catering business from car dealerships, and like I would get things here and there, but nothing was ever enough to really become a real business. So it was just one of those things. It's like, what do I do? And I get a call to go on a show to, hey, like I was a backup for that show for 2 years in a row, and I was hoping I'd get the backup call again because you got paid 10 grand just to be a backup. So I was like, all right, I need some money. Like, I hope I can go as a backup again so I can at least get 10 grand and, keep me afloat for another 2 months, for my family. And like, usually the time of the year you get the call, I didn't get it. So I told her, I was like, I don't think I'm going this year. I was like, I need that 10 grand, but we'll figure it out. I can do some private events and like yada, 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 do that and we'll survive. Then I get the call like, hey, can you come? This was Friday. Can you come Sunday and compete? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, somebody just dropped out. I just need you to come and compete in this qualifier. It's like, oh, so I have to qualify. And yeah, I had to beat out like 3 other chefs just to get in the bracket, but ended up killing it, getting the bracket, ended up beating the #1 seed, Brooke Williamson. And that from there on, my life has changed. I mean, obviously, didn't change overnight.
Sure.
Like, but once I got back from the show, I was like, I got to change the concept. Like, now I got the confidence back. I was like, I forgot I was a chef. Like, this is what I do. Like, what am I doing selling chicken? Like, just go back to what I'm good at. And I looked at my bank account. I had $30,000. It's like, well, this ain't much. Well, I don't know what we can do to with 30 grand to change the restaurant, but I called my pastor, and pastor's wife had to be an interior designer. So she came in, she's like, I need you to help me figure out the color schemes. At least let me know what the colors are. And she could help me design the restaurant.
Yeah.
My kitchen guys helped me tile the walls, tile the bar, paint the walls. I mean, my cook's dad is coming in to like hang the new light fixtures. I mean, my partner Cole Lipscomb now, who at the time was working for Brian Boger, and he ended up leaving the company and joined me in to kind of go through this transition. And Cole's in the back power washing the kitchen, and like we're just like, I hope this works, because if it doesn't work, I mean, I got nothing left, And literally, we flipped the restaurant in less than a month. I think it was like 14 days or something. It was something crazy.
Yeah.
Went to New York, like R&D, came back, wrote the menu, and just opened. Like, all right, guys, we're just gonna do like 20 covers. It was me and one guy in the kitchen, and like we had 2 servers at Cole, like no dishwasher, and we slowly opened. All right, guys, we did it, and just slowly, just a couple weeks went by, and all of a sudden we were doing 200 reservations a day, and just it was like honestly like a real life bear. I mean, so that bear show, like where they take a sandwich shop at a fine dining restaurant. It was almost like a real life bear, where we took a fried chicken restaurant that was orange and red and blue with all these bright colors to like this dark, moody, like Korean modern steakhouse. And it was just one of those, like, it was God's miracle. I mean, it was literally, I still don't know how this all happened. Because literally less than 2 years ago, I was sitting in my, so we're like just now transitioned to Birdies. And like within the 2 years now, we have MAHT with a new concept, and like we're growing, and, now we have, more projects in the future. And it's just been unbelievable experience, just from beginning to the end. I mean, beginning to now, and I couldn't have done it with all the people. Like it literally felt like a project from like where everybody was just chipping in, like where like the vendors, the pastor, like the everybody, my friend who painted the walls, like the mural, like it's just like everybody's just willing to help, and because of those people, like it made everything so much easier. And it's just unreal.
Yeah, it's so awesome. And it's a very Oklahoma culture thing, right? Like, your people just want to help out.
For sure.
And they're happy to, and you've got a great relationship. You've been, at that point, obviously, you've been here long enough. Like, people know who you are, people know your work.
Yeah.
You mentioned, your pastor, like, so you're connected with the church, you have all these connections. It's hard to ask for help.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
when you do, you know that you're rewarded by having these
For
great,
sure.
things that you've done. And, it's for the most part, like if you don't have those connections, and if you aren't good at what you do or a good person, they're going to say no, or they're just not return your calls. But
For sure.
that's, a testament to everything that you've done in the years leading up to that.
Thank you.
Had a guest on the podcast recently, and he's in the agency business, and he said, I think a lot of he was saying a lot of his success is basically down to just staying in the game.
Yeah.
Right. And that you could have easily just been like, you know what, I'm done. Like, this is not me. Your Birdies is kind of hemorrhaging cash. You're down.
Sure.
You're kind of like a little depressed. You're just like get in a funk, right? And then like you said, you kind of have that moment, like 30 grand. Like it's not a lot of money for a restaurant. Like, I mean, I'm sure your restaurant build out for MAHT was a lot more than that. But you decided to give it not one last go, but to give it a go.
Yeah.
I'm interested in like why, and what is in you that says, you know what, like we can do that. And then also why change the concept to what you did?
Yeah, I mean, it was just one. I mean, there was no other choice. There was no other choice. Honestly, it was either that or close it down, because obviously it wasn't working. So it was sink or swim, and like for me, if I lose a restaurant, there's so much I lose. More than a restaurant, I lose my house. Then like when I tell my kids, like that wasn't an option for me. Like as a man of the household, I was like, I gotta do everything I possibly can, try to get out of this hole. This was a decision that I made, take the risk, and I didn't want everybody else to have to eat the consequences from it. So like it was just for me, and just like trying to, keep the damage to a minimum. You know, at least you'll survive. At least wait until we pay off the bank loan and close it down, you know? So it was really more of just survival mode than anything else, I think. But I think that's when you know, you truly shine, right? When your back's against the wall and you really have nowhere else to go, I feel like that's when the true you comes out, and you're either gonna, you know, get better and stronger from it, or are you just gonna, you know, sink? So it's just one of those things. Like, to me, there was no other option. You know, everybody thought I was crazy. Like, you gonna do what? You gonna change the concept like with this much money? Like, how is that even gonna work? You know, but like to me, like, there's no other choice. Like, we're gonna do it. You're either they're with us or you're not. So like, you know, and you know, there are some people who were with me through all the hard times, and you know, really, those guys are the ones who really kept me going, because like they showed up every day, even though they knew things weren't going well, but like, they were there every day to help me get through whatever it was going on.
I mean, it's so cool to have that, right? And to have everybody come together, and back what you said earlier, but just kind of like that camaraderie in the kitchen that you kind of first fell in love with, and
Yeah.
the chefs being kind of rock stars, but having that team around you and coming together and, you know, putting out a product. But it's unique to have a team put together to build the product first,
Yeah.
right? Like, and have that much input with that much on the line. And I'm sure some of them had no idea,
Yeah.
but they were still helping out. And you're
Yeah.
after you're like, I'm just kind of swing or swim. I'm glad you helped out.
Yeah.
So Birdies opens slowly with a small crew, and you know, you get to doing 200 reservations a day.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is in what, like the last couple of years this has really happened? Like,
Yeah.
the
I mean,
turnaround?
we've only been open as the Birdies now for 2 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's, you know, we just, it's been because it's a very challenging location. I mean, you're in a strip mall. It's not like a cool, vibey downtown area.
Right.
So, you know, the idea of having a cool, hip restaurant across the street from the retirement home across the street, you know, next to the emergency ICU, not ICU, what's it called? The urgent care next
urgent care,
door,
so,
you know, and like we still have a fried chicken sign up front, like, you know, it's just like people, but like I love that it kind of tells a story of like how
Absolutely.
it happened, and you know, people walk in like thinking like, what is this place? And you know, you walk in and transforms you into like this hip, you know, little vibey, you know, modern Korean steakhouse restaurant where it's just dark and you know, moody, and like playing these weird, you know, electro like loud music, and like it kind of transforms you into a space that you weren't expecting at all. And I think that's the part of the charm of Birdies.
Absolutely. So you mentioned going to New York to do some R&D. What are the places that you kind of vibed with in New York that just kind of helped you create the menu and help you create the aesthetic for the new Birdies rebrand?
For me, it was more of hanging out with my dear friend Chef Dale Taldi. He's a Filipino American chef who's achieved everything I aspire to be. You know, and he's just one of those chefs I've met through Food Network, who kind of really took me under his wing and kind of helped me guide through this new life that I'm living now. And he was the one who invited me to his house to stay with him, to help me to write this menu. He helped me go to all these different restaurants in New York. You know, handful of Michelin stars restaurants, like, you know, all the Korean fusion places. They went to Carbone and, pizza places, burger places, but we just went to we probably went to 20 different restaurants in like 3 days, and just really dug into like all these different places, and you know, how he would operate his restaurants, and like what are the things that I need to do to be a profitable restaurant that's, you know, running smoothly. So like Del Toddy, I mean, he's like my big brother now, like one of the closest friends I have, and he was really the one who really helped me like figure out my transition of turning not just a restaurant but like my life.
Right.
So it's just one of those friendships that I really adore, and you know, I'm grateful to have.
Yeah. The restaurant turning around is also a metaphor for life, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Going through all that, and like I said, living the way you live now, and you know, having the life that you have now back 2 years ago when there's a lot more stress there, right? And like I said, you're not eating, and you know, it's just like, what are we gonna do here now?
I mean, I still have stress, not just different stress.
24 months later, it's in a much better place.
Oh yeah,
right?
for sure.
I'm sure you play a little bit more golf now than you did.
I wish it was a little warmer, but like my golf game is trash right now. But hopefully we can get that back on track this season.
Yeah, we'll have a golf simulator in the back of the restaurant. Oh, brilliant. So Transform Birdies, that turns into a success, and you're kind of like slowly getting back on track and the risk, you guys went all in, it paid off. When does the idea come around for MAHT then? And when does the idea come around? Do you think, you know what, like this is time to do it now?
after about a year of operating as the new Birdies, it kind of got stabilized and we kept growing. We were getting busier. But Birdies just not a very big restaurant, right? Like on the weekends, I mean, it'll get booked out 2 weeks ahead of time and people can't get in. So I knew there was a demand. I always loved the restaurant drink. I love the location. And I told my partner, Cole, when we first said, I want my next restaurant to be either the Packard's building or the drink.
Such a good rooftop.
And
such an underrated
yeah,
rooftop.
but sure enough, like they both kind of came on the market around the same time. I was like, whoa, that was very weird. I kind of manifested. It just kind of happened. But like Keith Paul was, reached out to him. I was like, man, like we're literally within a week or two, I've signed the lease without any financial backing. I'm just like,
I'm in.
just kind of gotta figure it out. One thing I learned from my cousin Andrew, he's a big entrepreneur.
He is. He's very good at it.
Very good at it. And once he told me when I was like years ago when I was doing some little projects here and there, it's like when I was like contemplating, like it's like there's never a perfect moment to start a new business, or nothing's ever gonna be like perfectly lined out to start. You just gotta do it. And like that really stuck with me. Like he probably didn't know like I know this, like because he was probably talking to somebody else about it. And like I was like, you just gotta do it. Like that really resonated with me. Like being an entrepreneur is just all about just doing it. Like a lot of people talk about doing it, and most people are just like, oh, I tried and it just didn't work out. And you see thousands of stories like that, right? But like if you want to be truly an entrepreneur, you just gotta do it and figure it out. And sure enough, just like I'm like panicking. I'm like, well, I just signed a lease to like go in this building that I don't even have $1 to like how to fund this thing. So I'm like, putting together a business proposal for investors and figuring all that side out. But like once I got it going, it's like this is why people say just starting is half the battle, no matter what it is. And that the idea turned into, actually sign a lease. And like now we've been open for, a little over 2 months now and operating as MAHT. And it's just been, unreal. Like, cause as a chef, like as a restaurateur, I never imagined owning a restaurant of that caliber. And like for me to see my team in that caliber of a building, to have that caliber of restaurants and to be thriving and getting all the love from the city, it's just been, like very overwhelming because it's a lot to like soak in, but we're truly thankful and grateful for, I mean, all the love we're getting from the city.
Yeah. Where does the you mentioned kind of offhanded little joke to manifesting two locations popping up at once of ideal places you want to be. Where do you go as far as and what do you like as far as putting a plan together? And I mean as far as just like when you do have free time, like are you always making notes? Are you always thinking of ideas? You always pulling inspiration and kind of putting it away for the next time? Like take me to that place, that creative business person in you that's like, oh, one day maybe I'll do a concept like this and I'll pull from this. Like, what's that like?
For me, like, I think opening restaurants it's a very hard business. The risk is very high, but I think you can minimize the risk by not spending too much money at the beginning, right? Like, if you build a restaurant out of just a square box, it's going to cost millions and millions of dollars of plumbing, electrical work, just everything. Just building a restaurant is very expensive. But to me, like through the MAHT transition, the Birdies transition, I've realized if you have a second generation restaurant space that used to be a restaurant, that you like the way it looks, you like at least the bones of it, you like how big the bar is, you like where the restrooms look like, you like where the kitchen is, like I start looking for those second generation spaces where I've like, one day, if this space ever becomes available, I would love to take it over. And there's a bunch of them in town I already have my eyes on. But like, I think that is kind of like my niche of like, I don't want to spend millions of dollars to build out a restaurant. I can spend a fraction of that money and still have just as beautiful restaurant, long as I can find the right opportunities. So like, to me, like what I love a dream restaurant of mine, like, have everything I've ever wanted and everything be perfect, but that will cost $5 million.
Yeah. And you probably won't make any money doing it.
It's like how long is it going to take you to recoup that $5 million? Yeah. So like for me, it like doesn't make any sense to spend that kind of money in a restaurant, unless some billionaire's like, I don't care if lose 5 million. I'm like, let's just build a beautiful restaurant.
Just want my name on it.
Hallelujah, I can do that for you. But like, if it's my money, if I have serious investors who are trusting me to run a business to recoup their money back, I'm going to find a space that I feel like I can put the minimum amount of work in far as money and still have a beautiful restaurant that we can recoup that money back very quickly. Then those are the opportunities that I look for when I'm trying to look for my next projects. It's not so much of like, I have this great project in mind, like I want to find a space. It's more the other way. I have all these beautiful spaces in mind. If that space ever becomes available, I have a concept in mind I would like to put in those spaces. So I always think ahead, stay ahead, and always keep my eyes open what other things might pop up. But in restaurants, there's not a lot of like restaurants. Location is very important, right? So like I have these areas I'm always looking, always driving around. See what restaurants are doing well, who are not doing well. Because I know if they're not doing well, they're probably not going to stay open very long. So I'm always looking around and see how other businesses are doing and try to find those next opportunities to execute. Because like the restaurants, it's a very hard business, right? But I don't think Hal Smith or Olive Garden thinks it's a hard business. McDonald's they think it's the easiest business in the world.
Just get their
McDonald's
location,
and Starbucks think it's an ATM. And no matter where they put it, they know exactly how much they're going to do. But they crack the code. But I feel like you get to a point in the restaurateur career, if you crack the code, I mean, you can grow however big you want. Cause like look at House Smith. I mean, I was just having lunch with some of the guys from House Smith.
Plus restaurants,
80 plus restaurants. I mean, they do like almost $400 million in revenue a year, like how do they do it? And they figure it out.
Quality food. Every location.
They crack the code. They know they're not going to, it's honestly a very simple code, honestly. But like most people don't have the experience, I feel like, to really, even though they know what it takes to really do it right, I feel like if you have the right people who really understands the business, how the operation will work. It's not all about being friendly and being nice and like everything has to run like it was supposed to be run. It's not just people think as long as you give the effort, it's good. Like, it's not about the effort. It's about delivering the execution and giving the service and being hospitable. Truly caring about the experience of the guests. The food has to be good, the location has to be good, the parking has to be good. Like there's so many things that plays into what makes a restaurant great. But once you crack the code, man, it's a beautiful thing, and it's such a fun business to get into if you're good at. And it's just I enjoy every moment of it.
Yeah, and it's rewarding, right? And it's immediately rewarding too, right?
Yes.
Whether it's people coming in or you're getting a shout out on Instagram, or people seeing you when you're getting groceries yourself, like little things like that, little validation hits.
Yes.
Someone famous at your restaurant, like whatever it is, you're and people giving you crap for not being able to get a table, like whatever it is, like all these little things that. But it's like you said, you've been doing this 21 plus years. Like it didn't happen overnight. No. You've got great mentors, great friends around you. You're able to have great conversations with the chefs in Oklahoma City now, even though you have these great relationships all over the country. One thing I do love that you do though is that you absolutely hammer social media, and you clearly see the value in social media. But you don't just highlight your own places. You're out testing what best burger in Oklahoma is. All these things. Like one, where does that come from? And two, like why? Because you seem to love doing it.
For me, it's like I had a failing business that wasn't thriving as a restaurant, right? I know what that feels like as a small restaurant business owner, well, whatever it is. And when I see these restaurants who are small mom and pop or small operators, like they need all the help they can get. Like just having me give them a little small shout out will just make their day of like, man, that gives them hope of like, man, people are coming in, they saw the video, and like the Korean small grocery stores. I mean, people are coming in. I mean, some of those videos have like millions of views, and like they just come in after seeing my video, and like I'm getting messages from their because they don't, the older mom and dad don't speak English, so like their kids are like DMing me like, thank you so much, like really, people are coming in, like just like it just, and like once I saw like the effect that it had, because initially I just started because I needed content. Like, I need to post
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go to these grocery stores and post things,
Yeah.
and like I don't ever tell anybody I'm coming. I don't ever tell anybody I'm
Right.
filming. I just go in there and film it. I just leave. It's till this day there hasn't been a single person. They're like, "Oh, are you Kevin? Are you shooting a video?" Like literally, not a single person has ever stopped me. I just go in and film it and leave. And like, but like later on, they'll realize what I was doing. They're like, oh, and they're so appreciative of it. And just the fact that I can spend, the fact that I can go somewhere and just have lunch and film it and post it, that gives some people hope of, getting their business off the ground and makes their day. Like that's amazing. And because I know exactly how they feel. Like when you're struggling day to day, like just sitting there hoping somebody walks through that door, and when you have a slow restaurant and there's not a single person sitting in your restaurant, it's the most depressing feeling in the world. One person walk in, like it makes you so happy and just gives you that little hope. Maybe it's gonna be okay. And like the fact that I can do that for other small businesses is just like I feel grateful that I can do it.
That's cool. You're good at it though. Like you're comfortable on camera. Obviously, you've done the TV shows. Like you have a charisma about you that makes you engaging, and people want to watch your videos. Which that is a skill in itself too, right? You could go in and
Yeah.
do these videos, but you could be flat and boring. Like,
Yeah.
but you're not, and that's what I think helps you too, right? The byproduct is great. You get to help these families out and these businesses. But the other thing from someone who likes to watch your videos, like you're fun to watch. You're good
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
do it. Like people are engaged in your stuff because they just can, they come to your page to see one video and they're going to see the next few as well, right? It's not just like, oh, quick,
Yeah.
next one, whatever. Take me into the video world. Like, you do have someone filming with you.
Yeah. I have a
Like,
great.
how's all that work? And also clearly there is, it's not, there is a content strategy there from at some point.
For me, like I'm a very shy person. Like if you like go out in public, like
Yeah.
I don't like everyone like it's so funny watching you on camera because you don't act anything like that in real life. And for me, like I always tell everybody, like, how are you good on TV? Like because I'm a very shy person. I'm very reserved, and I was never the guy who's like outgoing. But like one time in my life, when I was going to a Korean church in Norman, I had to lead the worship team. Like there's not a lot of members when you're at a Korean church. So like, I mean, if you're in a certain age group, and if you can somewhat hold a tone, like you're gonna lead the worship team for a while.
Yeah.
And like doing that really like made me comfortable talking about food. If I can sing in front of people, I'm not even a good singer. If I can do that, I can talk about food. You know what I mean? So that really gave me the confidence to just be comfortable. And like once you experience a couple of videos shooting TV shows, what the power of editing does for you. Like, you don't worry so much about what you're saying anymore because you're like, they'll edit shit out of it anyways.
exactly.
Word out what you want to say, and eventually it'll sound good at the end. So, like, for me, it's just about experiencing just being on camera, like, singing in front of people as a worship leader, like, all those experiences now, like, if somebody wants to shoot a video, I'm like, sure, why not? Like my tone changes, like the energy changes, like it just happens.
Yeah.
And a girl named Catherine Malloy Fanny, who used to work with me at the Jones Assembly, she was kind of like the marketing manager there.
Okay.
Once COVID hit, she started her own social media company called The Social Dip. I was kind of like their poster child. Like,
Sure.
I'll do it for you for $200 a month if you can, be my client, and we'll help each other out.
I'm gonna
And
look
like,
it up. I think I've heard of it.
yeah, The Social Dip, and they've done really well. Now
Yeah.
she has, like 5, 6, 7 girls working for her, and she's doing really well for herself. But like, she's the one who really believed in me,
Yeah.
from the very beginning. It was like a leap of faith for her. Like
Yeah.
she if I didn't work out, like it was just a waste of a lot of time that she invested. But like through that relationship, I mean, now she's kind of like our director of marketing for our
Social.
both restaurants, and now she has her own company with the Social Dip, and now she manages for my accounts on the social media. So it's just been a fun relationship because like we kind of grew together, from nothing, and like now we're like growing and like things are happening, and so it's really fun to like be with people who's been there since day one because we'll get together and just talk about like everything we went through and like how exciting it is, like things coming up and stuff like that.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your faith journey.
Growing up, I was Catholic
Okay.
Catholic household. But moved into Oklahoma. Like my uncle was a deacon at a church, so like I ended up really meeting God in a deeper way of like I never had before. And but like during COVID, I moved to Life Church. Like, I was always a Korean church kid, like growing up being a Korean American kid, a lot of Korean Americans go to Korean church in America. But like here, there's not a lot of options. So during COVID, I started a Life Church that was close by and met a lot of great people, some pastors, relationships that really helped me through like my tough times and like helped me grow my faith. And like, like I remember sitting in one of those Life Church has a thing called they take movies and they use analogy from the movies
Sure.
to like explain the scripture. And there was this one movie where it's about this guy who has this orphanage who is about to go bankrupt, and like somewhere where something happened, he goes in this fishing tournament and ends up winning $150,000 to save the orphanage, right? And I was watching that movie, I'm like, damn, I know it's hard right now, but like I hope I don't ever have to get to that point of like I got no option left. Like I know God will come through, but I don't want to go through all that. Like I don't want to have to go through all the stuff that he went through to meet Jesus. And I was watching that movie. I told my pastor, I was like, man, that was a great movie. And I was inspired, man. But man, I hope I don't have to go through that. It was just starting my business, right? It was hard. And I was like, it wasn't going the way I really thought, but it just, it wasn't at the point where it was going that bad, but like it got to that point eventually. But I remember the movie. I still remember the movie. It's just like the movie. Like everything that happened to me was just like the movie. Man, God always comes through.
Yeah.
And like, during the hard times, like there was nowhere else to lean on. Like even my family, like it was just like nothing will comfort me. Like God was the only thing that would comfort me. So like I'll be every day during the service, I'll just cry. Like the beginning to the end. It'll just be just crying. Because like there's nowhere else to lean on. And just like I feel like it grew my faith even more. And, now I feel like I feel like God has put me in this position for a reason, trying to figure out the purpose of that. And, I want to just, spread the love as much as I can because I feel like, God has put me in this position, not by accident.
Yeah.
There's a deeper meaning behind everything that's happening. And I just want to make sure, I deliver on that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's really cool to have that experience and be around and also be vulnerable, right? Like it's hard to do, but be in a safe place or be in a place where you feel like you can be vulnerable
For
and
sure.
have a great pastor that you can talk to that obviously is happy to help out with the
Yeah.
restaurant as well. Are the kids old enough to be around the restaurant yet?
They're 8 and 7.
So not really.
So not really.
Okay.
But when things were hard, they would they were hang out in the office at Birdies and watch YouTube videos all day.
Yeah.
So they saw the struggle at one point. Now they see the success, which
Yeah.
I'm thankful for. I'm glad that they saw the struggle, and I'm glad they saw the other side too. But I think both my kids are very proud. Because they see me on TV and like, they love talking about it, telling people. Obviously, like teachers at school always ask them questions, so they're very proud. I'm hoping they want to get into the restaurant business, because like I need, who's better than family,
Right.
Who's
Yeah.
better than your own kids helping you run your business? So, and I'm hoping they both love food and they both have interest in cooking, but who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
But I'm glad they at least are proud of what we have achieved as a family, and they enjoy everything about it.
Yeah, like I hope that, 20 plus years from now, like we'll see each other and get to look back on this moment and be like, remember when we talked about like the kids being in the restaurant
Yeah,
and
yeah.
how the kids are opening up their
Yeah.
restaurant and you
Yeah.
guys are working together in the kitchen. Like as a
Amazing.
dad, I'm sure that's like some of the coolest
Yeah, for
things that
sure.
you could project by manifest. How'd you meet your wife?
Church.
Okay.
We were helping out at the youth, retreat. My cousin was one of the retreat youth teachers, and my wife at the time, was a youth teacher also, and my cousin was like, "We need help. You coming with us?" So I went and helped, and that's where we kind of met. So now we've been married 12 years, together 15 years. So she's been through all of the journey from since the very beginning. So I'm also grateful for that, for us to go through all that together, and that just grew our bond even stronger.
Right. Yeah.
the kids share your athletic ability from a young age?
I hope so. Don't know yet.
No golf club swinging yet?
I mean, I'll show you some golf skills here in a
Yeah.
bit. But I mean, my son loves going to the golf course. He like if I say let's go to the golf course, he's down, and no matter what, like he loves going there, go to the driving range, putting. Like now he's getting to a point where like he's actually thinking. He's not just swinging at it. So like it's really fun to see. My daughter plays, soccer, basketball, gymnastics. She's actually very athletic, but they're both very shy. They have like my gene of like being shy. So hopefully they grow out of that a little bit. But I'm hoping they can both play golf because like other sports are great. I think it's fun, but like if they can actually become decent golfers, there's like you can do that together forever.
Oh, yeah.
So like that would be amazing if I can get both my kids. They can get to good enough to like I can just go out and play 18 holes together. That would be amazing.
Greatest sport in the world, right?
For sure.
It's just the ability to do that with family, friends, and for a lifetime. And who cares if it pays for college? It doesn't matter, right?
Exactly.
Like there's a lot of great opportunities out there, and like I said, it's the greatest metaphor for life when landing on the golf course. Finishing up, let's talk about like obviously 2 months into MAHT, we talked a little bit about kind of you've always got your eye on locations, depending on location first. But what are you excited about this year, man? What are you looking forward to?
I don't know. I'm hoping there'll be more opportunities to grow. But right now we're just kind of focused on a MAHT. It's been 2 months, so I don't want to grow too fast where like we're leaving. We're missing. Step. I want to make sure every step of the way is done right until we feel comfortable to grow again. But Birdies is thriving, MAHT's thriving. And like got some big competitions that hasn't aired yet. That's gonna be airing. So there's a lot of things going on, a lot of festivals. Like I'm leaving for Connecticut tomorrow to go do a Mohegan Sun Food and Wine Festival. Go to Miami for the South Beach Food and Wine Festival. So they got a lot of festivals coming up.
And you're competing at both?
Yeah, those are festivals where we just kind of go represent. Food. It's like this big festival where tens of thousands of people show up. So those are always fun. But just keep growing my brand. That's kind of the big thing. Like I'm gonna have make some T-shirts. Kind of some hats, hoodies. Start kind of growing my brand. And keep growing that way. And hopefully one day, I can have Kevin Lee's like frozen foods at Walmart. Or like. That's the dream, right? Like,
that's the dream, to have like a product, like
eventually,
something like that.
Eventually, that's everybody's dream. Like you can have like a seasoning and sauces, but like when you have a good frozen food product, I feel like
you can scale it.
You can scale it really well. So I have big dreams. I have big goals, and but we're not rushing it. We're gonna take a step at a time, make sure we're doing it right, and don't grow too fast, and just stay focused on just keep building our team. Because to me, like restaurants are all about the people who are actually in your business. Building the business. So without the people, you can never have a great restaurant. So just always looking for great people, try to grow the team, and anything I can do for the city that I can be part of to help charities and donations and whatever there is. Like I feel like the city has helped me so much to get to where I am now. So any way I can be part of the city to help grow and get recognized as I would love to do.
Yeah, awesome. Well, dude, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming in. Safe travels to Connecticut. People listening, I'll put links to all the Instagrams down below. You can go follow Chef and follow his great videos, and get a reservation at both of the restaurants. It's worth your time. And yeah, we'll catch you next episode. Cheers.
Thank you.
Hope you guys enjoyed that great episode. Thank you so much for listening. As always, huge shout out to our sponsors, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, sharing Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at OklahomaHOF. Our other sponsor, the Chickasaw Nation, amazing sponsor. They do amazing things for the state, and they're always sponsoring something in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma, and without their support, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. This episode is brought to you by the Doghouse OKC. Recently, I have been in need of some doggy daycare for my 2 pups, and the Doghouse have come in clutch. The team over there are incredible. They've taken care of my 2 golden doodles, and so it's been an honor to partner with them on the podcast and share the love. And adding to that is the Doghouse. And so if you're in need of doggy daycare in the day or boarding overnight, they do grooming and other cool things too, but I've had a fantastic experience, and it's an honor and a privilege to share this with you too. So go to thedoghouseokc.com and follow them on Instagram at thedoghouseokc, and hopefully our pups will run into each other.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.